are back on Not About Wrestling, and we are here with Mr. Monday Night, the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. Rob, how are you?
Excellent, dude. I hate to be redundant, but I get asked that at the beginning of every single interview.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever said anything creative. I don't know if anyone. Good, dude. How are you?
Let me ask this. How was your 2020? Was it good?
Well, you know what? Comparatively speaking, it really was. And, I feel bad for everybody who it wasn't. We definitely had some setbacks, had some losses. I like most people, but it really was a good year in so many other ways. And I really just enjoy staying home, so it wasn't a big change in my daily routine at all. I've been traveling to before the pandemic anyway. I'd work like maybe one weekend out of the month, maybe sometimes it might double or whatever, but so not a huge change, although it's depressing seeing all the businesses shutting down, especially big ass hotels, no shows in the show capital of the world except the whole fucking show. Here I am. But yeah, for me though, I was very fortunate and I'm thankful, but glad to put it behind us and go on to 2021.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who they almost feel like a guilt to it. Like their 2020, like everybody had, it was an awful year altogether, but they personally didn't have that bad of a year. And they're like, oh, well, and they feel almost bad about admitting it wasn't as bad because they don't want to say it to someone who's had a bad year.
That's kind of what I just felt like when you asked me, actually. Mm-hmm. I feel like I need to first start off with the pretext by saying, I don't want to rub it in anyone's faces, but yeah, it was just like I said, so I enjoy staying home and have enjoyed time out of the ring. Actually, my body feels better, not all banged up, and I enjoy working on other things. And so, hopefully yours wasn't, totally drastic either.
It was good. My 2021 is kicking off great. I'm talking to Rob Van Dam. I mean, that's
hey, it's all done after this.
Yeah. So the time that you had off or not being able to travel anywhere, I'm guessing that helped you work on your business.
Yes, and I'm always involved with a lot of different things, and what's happening right now is because I have my CBD company, I have some really good partners. I'm able to handle a lot more that comes my way. Can you see? You can still hear me when I look down, right? Okay.
Yep. I can hear you.
Cool. So like a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought RVD CBD would be helping with, they are, like, different merchandising, video game, card game, companies. And what I'm doing, we are acquiring a lot of these other side ventures, joint ventures, collaborations, and most of them are with long-term friends of mine, that have been friends, some of them for 20 or more years. So it seems like, many times throughout life, you realize how everything seems to come full circle. This is one of those, like a lot of personal investment of my life, the things that I've put into, whether it's relationships, whether it's certain areas of helping people or myself, whatever, it all seems to be coming together. And I should have some news very, very soon about some exciting stuff I'm going to be doing with the enterprise very soon.
Cool. That's awesome. When, let's go back 20, 25 years when Rob Van Dam was on the road. What did you think you would be doing at this point of your life? Did you have a plan?
Well, that's a great question. No, I mean, I'm not much of a planner. I go with the flow, and so that's why when it comes to doing certain businesses, I need people that aren't exactly like me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
are used to putting in the being on the phone and handling sales and stuff like that. Because you know, I'm strong in some areas, weak in some areas, and I don't know that I ever thought about it, Chris. You know, like you know, when you're in your 20s, 50 sounds old. You know, now that I'm 50, I'm like, I can't believe people think this is old. Like, this is like, must be like the best hidden secret in life is I'd rather be 50 than 40 or 30. I just know so much more. And again, I'm better off than a lot of people. I think a lot of it does have to do with your mind, because I know people that consider themselves old when they hit 30, and so then all their life choices are based around that. You know, they're settled down, and they, you know, I don't have kids, so that didn't age me. You know, I can. I'm sure that had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, it's aged me.
Yeah. Oh, there's no way. I have no question.
Yeah.
I can't imagine watching a child go through the same steps in life that I'd already went through. It's not a happy thought in my mind. I would have kids.
I actually saw something funny online today that someone said, parenting is a good way to lose your life without killing yourself.
Well, there's pros and everything. So if
Right.
everybody would realize that everyone has their own values,
Mm-hmm.
there'd be no confrontation ever. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Right.
that's the source of every confrontation, is a mismatch of values, and people have issues with that. You know what I mean? That's the number one rule. If I had like an RVD, rules of Zen, the number one rule would be everyone has their own values. You have to understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you do kind of have your own Zen, and you're a relaxed guy. And I've heard other interviews with you before where you said, like, when you were younger, you really weren't that relaxed. So I'm guessing it wasn't a born thing. You had to, like, kind of learn how to mellow yourself out. What were some things that you did to kind of make you go, all right, just step back and cool down?
Well, so I think that it was my default to be laid back, because my parents always told me, you know, that growing up, that, you know, I wouldn't get upset very much, and I didn't show emotion very much. My sister always jokes that if you got me to say "ha," that was me laughing hard. So I think that that's always been like part of my nature. But I definitely did a lot of conscious um, studying of and efforts towards changing my life, and that happened, like, I guess it was in the. It seems like it was when I was with WWE anyway, during that first run. When I left WWE in 2006 or 7, whatever it was, that I was so into studying like spirituality. Like I learned from inner study that was the weak spot of the trifecta. You know, like I mean, you've heard mind, body, and spirit. That's so true. There's 3 separate entities, and a lot of people don't work on their body. Most people, I don't think, work on their spirituality. You know, and it's like, you know, being a wrestler, you're working on your body. You know, I've been working on my mind, because I've always been a thinker. I spend most of my time in my head, not coming out of my mouth as my thoughts are developing, which a lot of people could learn from as well. But with the spirituality, man, it was like, I started like studying all these synchronicities in life, and I always felt like I believed in spirituality. You know, I grew up in a haunted house. Yes, with a
Really?
ghost. Yeah, and so from when I was 6 years old, I remember my parents always, you know, telling me to not be afraid of the ghosts. Like, we'd hear noises in the house, all kinds of stuff would happen, because I was in that house for, I don't know, 15 years, like, or close to it anyway. You know, I grew up in that. Yeah, I could get into that too,
Yeah,
but I want.
please do.
Well, okay. So before we moved into the house, a man had hung himself in the garage. And so it was kind of weird because we knew the family afterwards, after we moved in. I went to school with the children, that were part of that family and stuff. And so we knew it was Ron, in the house. And it was like he was like kind of part of the family. And I could count on it. Like if I had other kids were scared, and I remember having kids that stayed the night, and I could count on, like, yeah, you'll hear some footsteps or something, or we've had the fireplace door open and close. One time a radio came on, and this was a trip because the radio came on, and then I saw that it was unplugged, and then I was like, oh, well, it must have batteries. And I opened it up, and the batteries were empty. And so whenever anything would happen like that, we would just like run and roll our eyes. I was taught to do that. I hung myself in the garage, so a lot of stuff would happen in the garage. One time I heard my dad used to keep all the nails and screws in these mason jars, and I totally heard one slam on the garage floor. I thought a mouse probably was running along and knocked it off, because up in Michigan, we had mice, and that was an issue. I heard all that. I'm like, oh, fuck. I went to go out there with a broom and dustpan and shit, and there was like nothing out there at all. So that was really weird. There was like a flat ceiling put in the garage so that there was an attic that didn't used to be there. I was always told, and this is probably bullshit, my older brother used to tell me that up in the attic that there was a wire that was like what he actually hung himself from, and the attic was built afterwards to change the look, which that's probably bullshit, because they said like there was a chalk outlaw outline drawing like behind the paneling on the wall. I'm sure you do that on the wall, but it's a little kid. But
yeah. They're not going to draw a line. I mean, the guy hung himself. It's not a murder. They know who did it.
I probably realized that in my 30s or 40s, because I always thought it was there because my brother would tell me that. But all those noises and all that stuff, like we could count on. If someone stayed the night, they would hear that. I remember this kid I went to school with, John Lindquist. We heard footsteps upstairs, and I was just goofing around, going, "Oh my god!" And, he was like, "What?" And then, dude, it's probably just my dog, and we were the only ones in the house. So the dog was right with us. He took off running outside, and he was in the house.
Oh man, I gotta think that changes how you as a kid looks at the world, because you have to, at a young age, realize, okay, there's spirits and things beyond this life, or something that I don't understand. As a young kid, that's pretty hard to grasp.
Well, I don't think so, because I think it just, well, one, it gives you an open mind, but two, I think it's important to know that there's things that I don't understand. A lot of people are not comfortable with that, and so they have to have answers. They have to find answers, even if it's bullshit. That's such a incorrect way, according to the rules of RVD Zen, to go about life. It's great knowing there's questions that I can't answer. There is things that science can't explain, and that there's a world of stuff. And so, I don't have to put a label on it and say, oh, well, what it is, because this book, and even though this story has been told hundreds of times, and the characters have been changed, the names have been changed, and all this, I choose to believe this story is why, because this guy's the son of him, even though, all that stuff. It's like, I love all that story. I used to love Greek mythology as a kid in high school. I felt like the Greek mythology was just as credible as the stuff that they used to teach me when I did go to Sunday school, which stopped at like 5 or 6 years old. But I was like, they had the exact same stories. Like I was taught about Noah's Ark and all that, and then in Greek mythology, the guy's name is Deucalion. You know what I mean? It's like the same story, that he throws like rocks off the boat afterwards, and they become things. Little differences, but like, and in school, some of the kids thought I was weird because people are sheep, and they just believe what they're told to believe. And I'm thinking outside the box. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys believe that a man, could have super strength because the power's in his hair, and then and he could beat a army of 1,000 men with just the jawbone of an ass, and they'd be like, "No, we didn't believe that." I'm like, "No, that's your shit. Hercules is my stuff." Probably the same, but that's in your Bible. Oh, well, then it's true because God told me so. My dad was very open to me, always asking questions like, "But how do you know, Dad? But why?" So I'm, the best part of being, successful is knowing what you don't know.
Do you find that sometimes people get so wrapped up in, they understand the things that they don't know, but then they try so hard to find the answer for it that it kind of just like, yeah.
1,000%. Yeah. And you got to learn to, stop giving fucks where you can't control or change the outcome, or you're absolutely nothing you can do about it. But worry, you can worry, or you can plan, or you can enjoy, but I don't think you can do them all at the same time. So fuck worrying,
Right. So after like Greek mythology and ghosts, where does young Rob get into weed?
Well, this was actually my 21st birthday happened after I had gotten in the business.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, super young, super green. I turned 21 on a wrestling tour in Jamaica.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the boys were super excited, because ganja was everywhere. I didn't give a fuck. I was so, fresh out of high school. I was like, no, marijuana is a dangerous hallucinogenic, like SD. That's what they taught me in school, It's Schedule 1. It's the worst, most dangerous. But I gave in to peer pressure. They were, hit it, you fucking prima donna. It's not gonna hurt you. Hit it. Everybody else hit it. Do it. It's not gonna kill you. Hit it. And that was my first experience, and I don't think it was enjoyable at all. I felt paranoid, staring at the wall and afraid that all the older guys were gonna make fun of me because I was uncomfortable anyway in that environment. Like I was young and green and couldn't even admit that I was young and green. So different then. And then everyone else, all these veterans that have these war stories from all over the world telling me I'm a prima donna. They're right. I was though, you know what I mean? But it was a while till I adapted it into my lifestyle. I was bouncing at a bar around the same, not long after. I was bouncing at a bar, and one of the other bouncers would get high every night after work. He'd smoke a joint, and I'd sit in his car with him, and I'd hit it once or twice. I remember a time when he was inviting me out to the car, and I was like, dude, I don't know. This would be like the third time this week. He was like, hey, I'm not saying you have to smoke. I'm just going to sit. If you want to hang out and talk, whatever, that's up to you. You just invite. I'd be like, oh, okay. And I remember thinking that, like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I'm turning into a pothead. And that's so funny because, now when I can, I smoke, during, before and after, pretty much everything. So that's what makes me feel like I'm at my best now, which is totally opposite than the first experience when, I totally fell out of my realm of comfortableness. So that's what a lot of people's experience is. They don't understand that just because they tried marijuana one time back in college, that's not how everybody feels. People aren't out there driving, that couldn't remember their name. I'm not saying people aren't doing that, but you can't look at people, that are functional tokers and say like, oh my God, they shouldn't smoke before they do that, or they shouldn't. They're doing that high. Oh my God. Well, not everybody's high is the same. That's something that people don't realize. Is like everybody reacts differently to everything anyway. Every drug, every experience, but that's a misconception. People think that their one-time experience, they have no idea what they smoked, what kind it was, if it was, were they drinking at the same time. Those aren't even factors in their mind. They're just thinking, I know what pot does to somebody because I had that one experience. It's not how it is.
I can only imagine that you got a lot of that from when you were in the business, like the guys who were running it at the time, that old guard probably assumed, oh, all these guys are the pot smokers, and you probably got sort of a stigma with that. Did you ever run into any problems along those lines? Like old promoters being pains in the asses with it?
Um, Nothing really comes to mind.
Mm.
It's more with the independent promoters. It's more like a lot of the guys do it, and a lot of the guys don't do it. When you mentioned the old time promoters and stuff, the business when I got into it, it was so different. It was like big, almost 300-pound guys, not a super athletic style. That's why I stood out so much doing flips and spin kicks. These
Right.
guys, these guys didn't have to be in the best condition because the matches weren't that athletic. So it used to be routine to after the matches to go to the bar, and drink, take handfuls of pills, and when I think about how it's changed from the old school, like now, because of me. The style is more athletic. People are the wrestlers are choosing to stay. They're choosing cannabis and safer alternatives. They're not taking all those pills and alcohol like they used to. They're going to live longer, and because of the physical condition, you can't go out and get drunk every single night and still perform at that level. And so that's a good thing. They're going to have more longevity. But I think of the promoters more hooking me up, like, hey, we got a guy here that's waiting to see you, wink, wink. It was WWE is the only one that actually did drug testing and find me
Uh-huh.
and boys. Yeah, when you would show up positive for a piss test. When I was there, it was $1,000 fine. I heard it went up to 2,500 after I left. Not sure what the current status is on that, but they're really the only ones I think that cared, and I'm sure they're going to care less. UFC just like increased their allowance by a lot. Somebody told me, who was it? One of the fighters. Anyway, I was like, dude, why did you end up going back? And he said, oh no, I'm sorry, but that did happen with UFC, but it
Mhm.
also happened with NFL. This is my friend that he's in the Raiders, David Irving, and he's the guy that he made big news a while ago, like a year ago or so, because he's young, on his way up, and he quit because he didn't want to take all the pills and shit people are trying to shove in his mouth, and he was worried about the concussion damage, and he knew that studies were saying cannabis is a great protector of the brain, and so he made big news by choosing, to live a healthier lifestyle. But now NFL switched it up, and so now he went back. He said, "I can smoke all day and not flunk the test."
Mhm. So speaking about the concussions, I saw on your CBD website that you think you've had over 500 concussions. Does that worry you?
Well, it is the motivation for me getting involved with my own CBD company.
Mhm.
Um, yes, but I have been tested and everything. I actually had all of my symptoms, except for very few, would go away in a few seconds.
Mhm.
Right. And a lot of people wonder, like, what exactly is a concussion? These were not all diagnosed by the doctor. Throughout my career, I never told anybody when I was hurt unless I had to,
Mhm. Mhm.
I want to keep working. And you become your own manager in that respect, your own boss when you're an independent contractor, taking these bookings, working on the road. Like, my back is really fucked up. My shoulders hurt. Can I work though? Yeah, fuck it. No one needs to know. That's how
Mhm.
I did it. It's not like that anymore, which is good. But so with the concussions, that was we all kept that on a low profile. We didn't know how serious it was back then. Anyway, we didn't know about the studies leading to long-term damage possibilities. But anyway, I got whacked on the head once in November 2016. It was not impactful at all. It was something you would totally miss watching it. It was a rolling kind of a fall. But when I came up, just hitting the back of my head, everything was double. And I grabbed the ref like I had done many times, and I said, "Hey, whoa, I need a second." And I tried to shake it off, but it wouldn't shake off. So I, had to finish the match. A lot of
Mhm.
times I had to close like one eye or something. After the match, I sat there in the back, and this was 2016. So, I mean, I'm not trying to hide this. I'm telling people, hey, I got the vision. I'm just waiting for it to go away. Have a good night. I'm the last one to leave the building and it still didn't go away. I had to drive out of there with one eye because either eye I could see fine, but both eyes I saw double, and that was it. No headache. I felt fine, but everything was. Dude, that lasted for months. I had to go to vision therapy. I had to get these MRIs and CAT scans. Fortunately, I had a camera rolling the whole time. It made an excellent documentary called Headstrong, which is on Amazon. I made that movie, and it got such a feedback that I didn't expect on how I'm helping people, because nobody talks about it. And they had their issues, and I was helping them and just spreading the awareness so that we can increase the education on it is now important to me. That during that time, I was reading that NFL was considering using CBGs and CBDs to help their players, not only with brain damage, but also to prevent potential damage. And they said CBG can regenerate dead brain tissue. And I was like, man, that's amazing. It made me want to dive into it. And after doing a lot of testing other people's products and research, came up with RVD CBD, which wasn't just putting my name on someone else's product. I told them exactly what I want, tested it, told them changes to make, and it's been so rewarding. Like the reviews I get, knowing that I'm helping people, like even when they tried other stuff that didn't help, I get these letters every day. I'm just like, bam, that's so awesome to know. People telling me like, dude, I had this incredible knee pain, nothing worked, boom, boom, boom. And so that's become a bit of a mission, for me now, that Headstrong and RVD CBD are both 2 steps towards what I'm hoping will prevent my peers from either overdosing on narcotics or killing themselves, because that's how pretty much everybody from my generation has gone, except for the guys that are still around. But a lot, and you're probably familiar with that. It was huge news years ago how many wrestlers dropping dead, and that's it. They get the concussions. It seems to lead to depression, and then they kill themselves. I've had so many friends kill themselves, and I would definitely like to put a stop to that. I don't see me going down that road. It's a concern, though. Yes, knowing that I've had that much, my brain's been through that much trauma, but. And I don't want to spoil the movie Headstrong, but I do get everything checked out. So I'm in a position where I know a lot more about my brain than other people who haven't been checked out know. And truth is, chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a really serious thing. And now it's used like Kleenex to describe everything when it's not everything. Most of my friends think like, oh, we all have CTE to some extent. No, we don't. CTE is a degenerative disease where your brain is going to wear away and you're not going to know your name pretty soon or who you are, unless, we're able to do something about that. But long-term concussion damage and CTE are 2 complete separate things. And I want people to know, I wanted people to know what I know so that we can increase the education and I can learn more and we can all learn more and go in that right direction.
Have you ever been in the ring with someone where they might have had a concussion and they might not know, but you kind of spotted it first, or you were kind of like, hey man, you want to get this checked out because you're showing some signs here that you don't even recognize?
Only to the extent that some people think that a concussion is only when the doctor tells you you've had it. Only like when some people say, man, I think I might have had a concussion. I'm like, well, were you knocked senseless for any period of time? Were your senses off or scrambled? And they're like, yeah, like everything was like I was seeing floaters, and I'm like, dude, that's a concussion. I've had so many, and by the way, I thought you were going somewhere else with the question. I have been in the ring with guys that are completely knocked out.
Okay, who was that?
Well, it's happened, a number of times. I mean, I remember, I knocked Matt Stryker out one time with a kick. I caught him there. I knocked one man gang out, but he came right back. But he just like collapsed, but he fucked his leg up because he fell on it and cracked his tibia. And actually, you know, he didn't wrestle after that. And it's something that a lot of people don't know. Or before it, but you know, there's that knockout spot, and I've caught it. Jungle Jim Steele, big 285-pound bodybuilder guy, and Sabu and I both did this double kick out of the corner, and I caught him. I've been known to be kind of snug, and in Japan, you know, we had to really bring it. And dude, he was out for so long that we were playing tug of war with his body because it was a tag match. And so his partner, Jackie Fulton, was trying to pull him towards his corner to make the tag, and Jim was out and he was snoring so loud. And in Japan, sometimes you can have 17,000 people completely quiet. It's the way they are. The Korakuen Hall held a couple, 2,000 or 3,000 people, but they were so quiet you could hear. It was so loud, and he had a mask on, and you know, it was something. You know, eventually we rolled him out of the ring, and Sabu went, and he fell to the floor, stayed up. Sabu went on, pull his mask off so he could breathe, trying to save him. And all the Japanese young boy wrestlers started pushing Sabu and trying to protect Jim because they thought that he was just trying to demask him. And while he was out, and he was actually trying to save him. But you know, that's where I thought you were going with that. But I personally, I've got hit in the head, and everything's in slow motion for a few seconds, or the sound goes out, which is really weird. It's like, you know, where's the sound? Or everything's spinning, or like a double vision. There's been so many different reactions, and it's probably different parts of my brain that are actually impacting my skull, you know, that cause those different reactions and stuff. But I've had a lot, and I take a lot of stuff just to experiment, you know, like stuff that's on the market, you know, and that's because of the CBD product that I have. Like, I'm always going to be improving all of my products. If someone says, hey, we got something better, then I want to do that. I have the best. I can stand behind my products, which is great. Well, I'm in front of them right now.
Yes.
The best pain cream, like it's the highest CBD dosage. It's loaded with menthol. It's our flagship product, and it's like, I have no doubt if someone's looking to try that, the kind of thing, that they're going to love it, and it's going to be the best. So very, and like I said, I'll always be improving the products, especially the brain formula, which we're working on now. But I always take, you know, brain octane, you know, this is good, you know, good fat for your brain, or those pills, you know, try this, it's clarity. I try all that stuff for the research.
I got to assume
Did I freeze? Did you freeze?
Nope, I got you. You good?
Okay.
I got to assume some of the boys are using it. Like, is there anybody right now that are using it that you can say?
That are using my product?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
you don't have to say if you don't want.
Well, I mean, Sabu, he loves it, and Jeannie, his girlfriend, she just had a leg amputated. Oh yeah, really bad. And she says that my CBD tincture helps stop the phantom pain, and I didn't know what that was actually. Till he said the phantom pain is like when you feel there's pain for a part of your body, but it's not even there. Like your leg's not there, but your leg hurts. And I was like, that's so good to know that it helps. My CBD flower, well, you don't know Tanya, but my flower, she said it helped regulate her menstrual cycles, which I wouldn't expect these results until back. But the thing is, there's over 100 different elements to the cannabis plant. We call them cannabinoids, right? We only know about a few because it's been illegal to study the plant for so long. So people like me have been paying attention to the plant for, you know, 20, 30 years, while everybody else was smoking cigarettes and pot shaming me. You know, the world is finally changing now, which I knew it would. Cigarettes kill half of long-term users, half die from the cigarette usage. And then cannabis, actually, not only has it never killed anybody, but it extends your life. And that one people are going to take a while till they accept that. But when I was told about those studies, it made perfect sense to me, because, stress is the #1 enemy to human health. And by the way, back to your question, when I was in Impact, I was handing it around. I got some testimonies from some of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go to my Instagram, the RVD CBD on Instagram, and we have videos from the North, Willie Mack, some of the guys, talking about what they thought about trying it and stuff. And like I said, it's the best product. And by the way, Sabu just did an interview for Dark Side of the Ring. So when this airs, look for the RVD sticker on his shirt. RVD CBD sticker. I'm sorry, he pulled it right off of the top of one of my packages and put it on his shirt.
That's pretty funny. So the world has changed in its usage of weed and CBD and stuff. The wrestling world has changed in the way people wrestle. Do you sometimes watch wrestling now and say to yourself, man, I wish I was born in this generation so I could get these guys now? Or did you like being the only guy who could do the things you could do at that time?
The later, totally.
Right.
Totally. And that's what happened for a lot of the fans' mindsets, was throughout like the last 10, 15 years. As everyone else is doing my moves, there's certain kind of fans that think that I should keep coming up with new moves and keep like outdoing them and be on that. And I'm like, it's not about that. I think differently than most people, and that's totally why my approach to wrestling came across as one of a kind. It wasn't really a choice. Like, dude, I'm going to be like really laid back and not get mad, but I'm going to totally kick ass. That's me, And now it's like, I feel like since everybody is doing doing the same style, that I used to do, they've taken it to such extremes that I feel like it's hard to stand out, like this guy can do a springboard double flip to the floor, and then it's like, are people going to even remember that now? I hope they do. But I mean, like that dive I did off the top rope out to Bam Bam Bigelow in the 5th row or whatever, everybody knows that footage, and it inspired every one of these wrestlers today. But now they're doing a springboard gainer flip, jumping out frontwards but flipping backwards, and no, there's nothing in me that says, hey, I wish I could hang with these guys now. I liked standing out. I stuck to my guns, even though a lot of people tried to change me and conform me. And I like the principles that I learned along the way. I like standing for non-conformity and for being yourself and not worrying about fitting in. And by the way, a lot of the wrestling that I watch now, it's hard for me to not nitpick it, because like they've changed like so much that wouldn't have even fit in wrestling back in the day. And so like my old school foundation, says, what are you doing? And I don't want to get too specific. I mean, a lot of my peers get online and they talk about, that's not how you pile drive someone. You should put their hands here and here. I'm not out to do that, but I am out to say a lot of times they're really dancing together, where, I always looked at it. It's a big debate. Is it a dance or is it a fight? And I always looked at it like a fight. Mm-hmm. And I think the product that I produced came out that way.
Did you have an opinion on? Did you see a couple of weeks ago when Jim Ross kind of complained about the one move where the guys gather on the outside of the ring, and friend and foe get together and kind of catch the guy who's coming on the outside, and how do you feel about that one?
I feel exactly the same way, and it's nothing that I haven't said every single time I see everybody do it. But when I feel like voicing my opinion, I've said. I mean, I watch wrestling with Katie because she's still learning, and I point all these things out. I'll hit pause, and I say, "Look at these 6 idiots, not idiots,
right?
I mean, it's the thing is, the guy hasn't even bounced off the other ropes yet, and they're already waiting. And just that stuff bothers me because the first thing I was taught was the mindset. You know, back in the day, we had to get beat up, and I think everyone knows that. It's not, you know, we had to get stretched. We had to get taught to be in the state of mind that we are in a match. Like that never changes, never ever changes. You know what I mean? Like the way that I got trained, you know, I'm in the ring with somebody. If they're on their back, Sheik would say, "What are you doing? Pin him. His shoulders are down. Get him." I couldn't stop and look at the crowd and stuff, and that's part of it.
Right.
But I had to learn to fit that in. I was taught grab him, you know, try and bring him down, reverse it. I never got taught one time throughout my pro wrestling schoolage, never one time about this is how you take care of somebody and not hurt them, or this is how you fall safely. I never. It was all just like go, 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 go. Other people that would come to the school, they wouldn't stay because they were used to training different. They'd come one time and try out and they'd leave. Very, very few ever came back except for a core group of 4 of us. And that's the way I was taught. And I see where that is lacking now, and it looks like, you know, these guys grew up together and they're playing together wrestling, or I see that missing a lot, like just having that state of mind. You know, you shoot me into the corner, I want to fool you. If you're going to come running at me, I'm not going to move when you're in the middle of the ring. First off, you look like a complete idiot still running into the empty corner. That's the first off. I'm making you look bad. You should slap me afterwards if I do that, old school style. But also, I want you to think I'm not going to move. So I'm going to wait till the very, very last second, and I'm going to grab that rope, and I'm going to pull myself out of there. Boom. That's what's exciting. You're not expecting, you know, you think something's going to happen, but something else happens. A lot of times that seems to be tossed to the side now for the goal of just, you know, doing spots.
Yeah. I think sometimes I don't think some of the guys and women realize that in those moments, so you're asking the fans to suspend disbelief. You're taking me out of the moment by running out of the corner, and the guy runs halfway across the ring to then go into the corner where the guy isn't. Like, if that were a real fight, he would notice 2 seconds after the guy moved away from the corner that he's not there anymore. So now that takes me totally out of it, because I would say to myself, he had to see that the guy's not standing there anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that happens a lot, and unfortunately, you know, these guys. Before COVID, there's never been more wrestling groups. There's never been an easier time for anyone to get into the wrestling business, and because of that, a lot of fans move their way up into the business, and of course, that's going to dilute the product, the old school foundation. It has to. You know, it's going to water it down some. So that's what happens is like guys that aren't trained by someone old school, or they're not even trained by someone that was trained by someone old school. You know, generation after generation, they you know, it's like telling a story. It gets changed, it gets changed, it gets changed to a point to where you have to look to recognize you know, signs of what it used to be. But that's just, yeah, that's a good example. But also they expose like way too much. Now wrestlers that are in the ring think they're working in front of a crowd that thinks they understand how everything is going. So when they're doing interviews, you know, they're talking about and they're showing like what they talk about before the match and stuff like that. To me, that's like being a magician and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna pull a rabbit out of my hat. Here's how I'm gonna do it, though. I'm gonna have the rabbit go out and do it, and then still expect the same response, right?"
Yeah.
They know that's different. It used to be a closed door society. You know what I mean? Nobody was allowed in the dressing room. When I was privileged the first time I got in the dressing room and was told, "You are not a fan. Don't talk to anybody unless you're going to introduce yourself. Look them in the eye, shake their hand, introduce them, and don't say anything else unless they talk to you. No autographs, no pictures." You know, it was like all that was drilled into me so much that most of my career I didn't feel like a fan anymore. I really feel like I would have enjoyed a lot of different times in my career and had more fun with it if I had been a fan, but it was pretty much all about business, you know? So sometimes people ask questions like, but wasn't it exciting dressing next to Undertaker? It's like, you lose that, you know, pretty early on, or at least not everybody does though. I believe that most of the guys today, because of what I said, I think that most of the guys today are still excited, and in that way, in a Mark fan kind of way. Most of the guys, that's how I look at it now. You know, I look back at all the guys that, you know, want the business more than anything, and they don't even know all about what the business is. So some of their expectations are too much, you know, of how that's going to fulfill the other things that they're sacrificing for that. But that's all stuff everyone has to learn organically. But when I look at it now though, and I look at, you know, those guys that are really excited to be there, and excited, you know, to go out there and think, man, I want to wrestle with that guy because I would have a great match. That's a great way to go about it. You could have a long career because you're doing it because you love it. You know, I loved showing off. And there were certain guys, you know, if I wrestled guys that I grew up watching or something, of course that was cool, but not in the way that the other guys were, you know.
Right.
And I would hang out with guys that were like-minded. Booker T and I were tag team champions, but when we would get in the car and drive to the next city, wrestling wouldn't come up not one time.
That's
Unless it was like, hey man, you okay from that bump? I saw you land on your head out on this. Yeah, that'd be it. And then the other guys, they're wrestling, and then they're playing wrestling video games in between, you know, after the match on their time off. And then they're watching wrestling, and like, you know, that wouldn't have been accepted by the family that I got brought in by, you know,
right.
Even though it's a good thing.
Yeah. So before I wanted to share a quick story because I have an RVD story. You know, I was going to ask if you were rolling one, and I didn't want to like assume, you know, but I'm glad you are. All right, so here's my RVD story. And I'm hoping you remember this, but I know you won't because you've had a million things happen in your life. Got to be about 1997-ish. You're with ECW. I want to say you're the TV champ. You come to Trenton, the Trenton CYO. Do you remember the Trenton CYO?
I do. This is the building that has the swimming pool, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so you were popular. You were just kind of like taking off. You were just getting bigger and bigger. And I was a huge RVD fan. And before the show, everybody was making up signs. And I decided for RVD, I was going to make 2 thumbs. And the thumb said the whole effing show. So one thumb said the whole, and the other one said effing show. And you came out, and I started going like this with the thumbs. And you kind of acknowledged me. And then probably after your match, somebody came up to me from ECW, and they're like, hey, can Rob see those? He wants to see those. And I was like, sure. So I gave him the thumbs. And at the end of the show, I met back up with the guy because I wanted the thumbs back. He came back. He had 1 thumb. He's like, Rob kept the other one. This one's for you. And you signed one of the thumbs and gave it back to me.
Did I really keep the other one?
Yeah. According to this guy, which I didn't care because you sent back an autographed thumb.
Yeah.
So I didn't really care. Do you remember that? Yeah.
You made that?
Yeah.
I want to say yes.
It's okay. I mean, I know it. I mean, this is like 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. What were they made out of?
They were cardboard, but I had like reinforced the cardboard in the back. And then also they had like kind of like straps on the back so that I could hold them up so that they're like strapped to my hand and I would go like this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No wonder I wanted to see them. I don't remember specifically, but I'm sure that, you know, that I was impressed that night. That's what I always, got energy from, you know, once I come through the curtains and hear that boom, you know, I'm looking around for all my damn fans. And fuck yeah, that's sweet. Whoa. Because sometimes, you know, 3 people would be like RVD on their chest or whatever. Thumbs and so that always like stuck out in my mind. So I'm sure, you know, that was a sincere, you know, moment. So, dude, appreciate it.
There was. Do you remember? I got one last thing. We do this 10 count thing. We're gonna do that in a minute, but I have one last question. Do you ever remember being in the ring and kind of looking around and seeing a sign that just made you pop? You just laughed.
Well, when I debuted the Van Terminator in Los Angeles in 2001, there was a guy, I think it was an Asian dude, if I remember right, at the LA Olympic Auditorium, and he made an RVD puppet sign. And that really stood out because it's like, you know, I guess it was cardboard, but pinned at the joints or whatever, so that when he would pull something, it was on a stick, and he would pull a string, and you know, the I think the legs might have moved too. That really popped me, like that you know, stood out. It wasn't a laughing kind of thing, you know. One that made me laugh, I remember a sign one time that said RVD has butt sweat. And that made me laugh because it was true. I was like, man, how can I quit getting all this big sweat stain on my, especially my gray outfits. Like, they're gonna show it, like, by the time I'm warmed up and wet my hair back and get out there, my ass is already wet. And I was like, oh, okay, they've noticed.
That's hilarious. So to end the show, I do this thing. It's called the 10 count. I ask you 10 real quick questions. You tell me the first thing that pops in your head, and then we just go from there. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
You want to smoke first?
No, I'm having a trouble with my filter getting into jam in. Go ahead.
Okay, you ready? Number one, yep. Name someone who you'd really love to get high with.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Okay. Number two, what secret conspiracy theory would you like to start?
Music steals your soul and your mind. Music steals your free thought.
That'd be scary. Okay.
It's true, baby.
I'm gonna start it now. We're gonna say it is. Best stoner movie: Half Baked, Dazed and Confused, or Pineapple Express?
Half Baked, Dazed and Confused, or Pineapple Express. Those are all pretty good, though.
It's hard to pick them.
Yeah.
Number four, what's the weirdest thing a guest has ever done at your house?
That's a funny question. Walked in the front door.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty. Like, why would you do
that? Number five, toilet paper. Do you put it over or under when you hang it up?
Oh, well, ours is vertical.
Vertical?
So, pop it on there, yeah.
I asked that question of Rhett Titus from Impact. I'm sorry, from Ring of Honor. And I said toilet paper over or under. And he's like, you mean when I wipe my ass?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what I was. I had to replay the words there. I turned mine up, you know. Why not? That way it holds it, don't fall off. That's another thing. Everybody should take the toilet paper holders and turn it vertical. Who started on the horizontal thing anyway? And get a bidet. Sure, everyone needs that.
You're also the second person to say bidet. Someone else had a bidet.
Yeah, we have 3 of them in the house, and if you get into that, if you get really realizing the benefits of that, you'll think everyone else is gross.
Yeah. Okay. Number 6. Name something you wish you hung on to in your career.
How about the WWE title?
Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Wish I had a little longer.
What's that?
I wish I would have held on to that a little longer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Not got pulled over or used the Ozim correctly, at least.
Number 7. If you needed to bowl over a 200 to save your own life, could you do it?
Yep.
Okay. Are you a good bowler?
Dude, I'm kind of one of those people I can just pick something up and be pretty good at it.
Okay. Do you like bowling?
Yeah, I do. Years go by in between games, but I did growing up. I was on a bowling league. Trying to think of it. Yeah, there was like 5 of or however many is on a team, and that was a lot of fun. Used to go hang out at the bowling alley, M66 bowling alley in Battle Creek, and also Ken Naki's, which wasn't as close, but I played a lot of video games also at the bowling alley. So that was a hangout for my youth.
Cool. So you'd be able to save yourself with a 200.
Yeah.
Number 8. This one always stumps people. What's the most ridiculous fact that you know?
The mafia facts.
Now you have helpers.
Yeah. Yeah, which mafia fact should I?
Just all your mafia facts.
Yeah, I know a lot about the mafia, La Cosa Nostra, and most of what I know is reported. I haven't seen most of it, so you read inconsistent info and this and that, but I know a lot about legend. So how about I'm trying to think of some random how about the last mafia hit in Las Vegas that was reported was Herbie Blitzstein in 1997.
Wow, it's been that long?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Anthony Spilotro, from the he was who Joe Pesci played to change his name, Nicky Santoro, but in the movie Casino, he was the boss. He was the boss of Vegas. They whacked him in '86, and after Herbie Blitzstein was his bodyguard. So when you watch the YouTube videos of the Anthony Spilotro doing the perp walk with his lawyer Oscar Goodman, big 300 some pound dude was Herbie Blitzstein, and they killed him like the LA family with the Buffalo family trying to take over some rackets that he had.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to change my number 9 because of that. My number 9 question is, how'd you get into all this mafia stuff?
I guess, I've always, like I said, I used to like Greek mythology. I was way into comic books as a kid, so I always had to have, I guess, an area to geek out on and had to know everything about it. Like I'd go to the high school library every day and I'd walk out with a different book under my notebook. And I had the whole collection at home, knew like every fact, like Trivial Pursuit style. Same thing with comic books. I collected Ghost Rider. I had to buy every comic that had a 1-panel cameo with them. I was just kind of obsessive about it, I guess. And I got into Hollywood history. I was doing a movie, Wrong Side of Town, my only starring role. And when was this? I
think it was 2015.
Okay, well, I think it was 2008 that we're filming it, 2009.
Okay.
And then we're at the studios, Sunset Gower Studios, and I was just walking around, hey, they film Married with Children here, and hey, they filmed The Stooges here, and I just walked around looking at all the pictures and learning the history. I started getting way into Hollywood history, and I just had to learn everything about the studios and all the studio heads and how it was. And anyway, Bugsy Siegel was part of the Hollywood history, and he was around, and my interests followed Bugsy Siegel. In 1936, 37, he went from he was in LA. He went to Las Vegas, and then he started the Flamingo in 46. But before that, he had Cortez. He was out there, but there's a house underneath the Hollywood sign. It's a 9-story castle called Castillo del Lago, and it's so awesome. If you're there, you would have no idea you're in LA. There's a huge pond beneath you. It's just hills, canyons, and the Hollywood sign. It's so awesome. Madonna used to own it, and Bugsy Siegel used to own it way back in the day. So that's how I was turned on to him. And then now it's like, what family do you want to know about? The West Coast, Chicago controls everything, west of the Mississippi, the 5 families in New York. But it's very similar to wrestling. They used to, just like wrestling, they used to be around 26 different families that control different areas all over, and they all kind of paid up to a big umbrella. The commonalities are there's so many. There's a missing book right there. Besides besides the actual wrestlers that worked with organized crime, there's a lot of very similarities. Closed door society, everything. You know,
maybe you got to pitch that as a dark side of the ring.
For sure, yeah. But you know, there's a YouTube video that says 10 wrestlers that were involved in organized crime, and nobody even knows like much about that. But back in the day, you kind of had to be. They controlled all the arenas, they controlled all the nightclubs, distribution, you know, in and out, any kind of food, beverages, anything. So you kind of had to work with them back in the day. That's part of what's so fascinating about them.
All right, and then number 10. What's the creepiest thing that a fan has ever said to you?
Creepiest thing.
Besides that he drew 2 thumbs and sent you one in the backstage.
Yeah, I'm scanning my brain, trying to think of, okay. This was, maybe creepy is the right word, but I don't have a lot of bad experiences with fans. I think everyone knows RVD's the coolest wrestler you'll meet. Chill, dude, I want to smoke with him, all that. I met Cracker Barrel one time, and it's like I waited till like 5 minutes before they closed their doors, to go in there when nobody was in there. I was so hungry, hadn't eaten since like 3 o'clock, and now it's like 10 o'clock. We've already wrestled, done TV, everything. And I sat, and when I went in, there was only one other table with a couple of people at it. So I was like, sweet. I was meeting a couple of my friends there, and we sat down, can't wait, to eat. And we ordered. As soon as the food got put at our table, that table of 2 people came over to talk to us, right? And I was like, oh God, I wanted to eat. And it was a mom and a daughter, and the mom was like, hey, my daughter's like a really big fan of yours, could you, sure, here's an autograph, she's like, yeah, she's really thrilled to meet you. Okay, cool. You want to do a picture? Yeah, we can do a picture. Bam. Cool, man. Nice to meet you. And I'm looking at my I don't know, hamburger steak and macaroni and cheese, Cracker Barrel style, whatever it was. And the lady, she just kept going, and she was, like, that's very nice of you. And she's just standing there, and I'm like, thank you, nice to meet you. And then she's like, so where are you from? And I'm just like, oh. And I had to ask my friends if I was as rude to her as she thought, but I turned my chair to face her, give her all my attention. And I just said, I'm from Battle Creek, Michigan, ma'am. And I just like looked at her, and she's like, oh, is something wrong? I said, no, not at all. I'm just wondering how long this interview is going to be. I'm very hungry. And she's like, oh my God, well, I'm sorry. And she left. And I was like, okay, cool. I started eating. And then she came back over and threw the autograph on the table. I just want you to know that I've been very sick lately. I've been laid up in the hospital. And this was just supposed to be a fun time between me and my daughter. And you've ruined that. And you've completely destroyed our whole night. I felt like so bad. And I had to ask my friends, like, was I really that much of an asshole? Like my perception was blown at that time. I had to check myself, because for me that was a snap, but that's just because I'm so chill. But I don't think I was above people's normal vibe when they talk to each other. But yeah, that one really affected me though.
Yeah. No, once you said that she walked over when your food came, like all bets are off. She's wrong.
One time I was out, anniversary dinner was supposed to be with my evil ex, and these fans sat right down beside her at the table and started talking to us. Yeah. I've had fans in the bathroom a lot of times asking me if we can get a picture or whatever when I'm at the urinal pissing. Yeah. I've come out of the stall before, and someone was like, Rob, hey man, dude, I just want to meet you. Can I shake your hand? I'm like, dude, I just came out of the stall. You don't want to shake
my. You should be like, yeah, here, take the drive.
Before and after I shake yours.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Well, Rob, real quick before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find you online, where they can find your CBD stuff.
Yeah, I'm everywhere on social media at The Real RVD, RVD CBD on Instagram, and RVDCBD.com to get the best CBD products. And we're always growing. Like I said, we're going to be making some big announcements real soon regarding my enterprise. And, you haven't been plugging that yet because shit takes a lot longer than you expect sometimes or whatever. But looks like we're there. Something I've been waiting on for a long time. And of course, there's all kinds of other stuff that I didn't bring up for the same reason. I'm looking forward to it, but until the time is right to talk about it, we'll go with what we've got here.
Definitely. So, we'll have you on again. You can talk about it the next time.
Cool.
Thanks, Rob.
Sounds good, Chris. Appreciate it, dude.
And that brings another episode of Not About Wrestling to a close. Guests of the Not About Wrestling show stay in their own damn houses. If you like the show, please share it on social or leave a review on iTunes. And remember to subscribe to Not About Wrestling on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/BroBible and find the Not About Wrestling section. Thanks again for listening or watching, and see you all next week. Well, I won't see you at all. You know what I mean.